So here we are today. It's a big day for the Aboriginals, and with me today is Chris McDonald, Manager of Aboriginal and Environmental Relations. Ooh, I almost forgot that one. And Chris, tell me, how did this start? We're here to celebrate, I believe it's 10 years of the Forestry Institute.
Yes, what we're here today is to welcome a group of 30 high school teachers from across Canada who are participating in a week-long training course for natural resource management centered in Mattawa, Ontario, and in this region. And so they're stopping here today on the territory of Wolf Lake First Nation, and certainly an area where Tembec undertakes forestry and the center of our operations,
Right.
to learn about forestry management, forest certification, working with environmental organizations, and how Tembec works with First Nation communities.
Sounds actually very good, and we must work with them because, as we know, the native land is very important, and the forestry as well is important. So they need to work together. So it's a really good bonding thing, I guess we can say.
Absolutely, and for a forest company that operates on, it's a public land owned by the people of Quebec. It's Aboriginal traditional territory, like we are here today on the territory of Wolf Lake First Nation. As a company that relies so extensively on raw materials from the forest, from trees, all the different parts of trees, we absolutely need to be engaged, working with First Nations communities to harmonize our practices with their values and uses of the land.
Wonderful way to look at it. So tell me, Chris, they're coming in on the bus today. What is the plan? There's an agenda set out for them, so what's planned for them?
Yes, we have them here on this oasis in between their trips to the forest this morning and this afternoon in this region. And so we want to do three things. We want to introduce them to this frontier between Quebec and Ontario, introduce them to Algonquin territory, to what are the values, the interests, the history of the Algonquin Nation. We also want to expose them to a bit of an overview of the Temiskaming complex as the heart of the company, a facility where so many different products are produced, where trees are transformed in so many different ways. Right. We want to introduce them to that, and then talk a little bit about the company's philosophy and approach on how to be in the leading edge of developing and implementing sustainable forestry practices.
Okay. Will they be touring the mill today, or will all the presentations be done at the center?
The presentations will be done here and at the center. With a group that size and with their limited time, it's made more sense to coordinate the visit from a distance and indoors at the centre. Okay.
So today we're launching the 10-year, as you mentioned, and they're coming in to talk about this. Are they from here? What is their plan? Where do they go from here?
So they're high school teachers. They're here on professional development through the summer, of course, and they will return to their schools in the fall at the high school level, and where they're involved in environmental education or science education, and be able to take advantage of what they've learned over the past week to create a more real and creative learning environment for their students.
Which is actually a fantastic way to put the message out of pulp and paper industry as well. If there's some of those students out there that, in the future want to work for maybe a pulp and paper area with their sciences, whatnot, they'll have the great knowledge from the teachers coming back to them, from the knowledge of here, the knowledge of you guys, as well as from Russell, the gentleman I interviewed earlier. I think, with the potential of people looking for more and more employees to come in to maintain where it is, this is going to be a great way to set it off, as well as for Tembec, as well as for the Aboriginals. Tell me, what type of presentation will be done at the center?
There'll be two presentations there. Lyle Bigelow will speak about the facility itself, the company's efforts to transform our business to not just produce lumber and building materials. Of course, those are key products, right, but to generate energy, the anaerobic plant, how wastewater is treated, and the creation of bioenergy and innovative products at the site. And then I will speak about Tembec's approach and programs to work with environmental organizations, First Nations communities, through our Forest Stewardship Council certification initiative.
Wow. This sounds like they have a full agenda ahead of them today.
They do. They do. Yes.
I don't think they're going to be bored. I think this is going to be a really great learning experience for them. I mean, whether they're teachers or not, this is a whole new aspect, a new way of looking at, as you said, the innovation going on, the projects going on at the mill. And not only that, because tembec is here to supply the wood and the energy and whatever, as we say, is produced. I mean, my division is high yield pulp division, and I mean, there's so many different divisions that produce multi-million products, and this will be an extra knowledge for them to bring back.
Absolutely, and the real value of training the trainers or teaching the teachers is that they can have, it's like a ripple stone in a pond, and the ripple, they influence so many students over their careers. And so, just as you say, there's much more to our industry, our profession, our sector than meets the eye. And so we want to just give a little bit of a window into what it is this sector is about in 2011, and hopefully inspire them, and by linkage, their students to take a look at our sector when they're thinking of employment options down the road.
I think it's a great idea. Where did the idea come from?
The idea came from as part of the creation of the Ecology Center in Mattawa 10 years ago and prior. As an educational center, its location in a provincial park, at a time of a lot of land use discussions, a lot of debate about what are good, responsible forestry practices, natural resource practices. The idea of a center where dialogue could happen, it was part of the mission of the Ecology Center early on, and tembec in the region being part of that was certainly through the Canadian Institute of Forestry, was very supportive of the idea of creating a location, and then by extension forest tours, visits, to create an opportunity outside of major urban centers for people to learn about natural resources.
Fantastic. And for those of you who have not been to the Mattawa Ecology Center, it's such a beautiful place to go see. It's great to bring the kids. I've been there a couple of times, and I've totally enjoyed the museum that they have there and the surrounding areas. And I think it's a great opportunity for people to get out and see, not only out there, but to come and see here as well at the mill.
Absolutely, and so we're so excited to have be able to connect with the group that's there.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. I don't know if you have anything else you want to relay to the public as a message, but we want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to do the interviews and be a part of it once again. The community channel is in our area. It is our local station, but we are a great part of the town, and whatever happens in the town is important to us as well as important to you.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, Lisa.
Thank you. We're here. It's a glorious day. And what is your role today as representing for the Wolf Lake Band?
We're going to explain to the visitors, which I understand are teachers from across the country, high school teachers with a science background. Like I said, the history and culture of the Algonquin peoples, their relationship to the forest, their environment, their ecosystems, their knowledge of the wildlife, and their annual cycle of activities that they did traditionally.
Okay.
And some of the history of their territorial rights.
So today you're going to be speaking more or less about the forestry and the history behind us, and rights of land. I guess would we say rights of land?
Land rights, yes.
Land rights. Okay. And so, when you're done here in Temiskaming, where are you going from here?
Today is a big day for the Wolf Lake First Nation. They're having a grand opening of Camp La Lucarne, which the Wolf Lake First Nation purchased.
Okay.
And they're going to have a number of dignitaries there, including Quebec Minister responsible for Aboriginal Affairs, Jeff Kelly. Daniel Bernard, the local member of National Assembly, is going to be there, and they'll have other people, other dignitaries there as well to help celebrate the opening.
Okay, so it's a big launch. It's launch of 10 years that they've been doing this type of service?
No, actually, well, yes, I guess you could say Wolf Lake's been involved in tourism for over 10 years
Right.
with the Algonquin Canoe Company, but they're expanding their tourism activities with the purchase of this Camp La Lucarne, and they're also looking to be more involved in, making sure that there are canoe trails and that throughout the territory. So there is a larger tourism strategy that Wolf Lake is pursuing.
Sounds like high potential, and it's also good for Camp La Lucan, as you said. Now, what about in the wintertime for snowmobilers? Is it going to be open? Do you know?
I believe that's in the planning that they have been in the past, and are hoping to continue to service the customers that have been there,
Okay.
as well as get new customers.
That's actually going to be great because we know as a fact that there's a huge amount of Americans, Canadians all around that come in throughout the seasons, and the fishing is a big aspect, as well as the snowmobiling. And I think with Camp La Lucan opening up again and keep running, it's going to bring more tourists back into the area.
That's the plan.
Good, good. I think it's a wonderful way to keep, a good communication going, but as well as keeping the town alive and keeping people coming through and seeing what such a beautiful area we have and the surroundings around us.
And that's what Wolf Lake hopes to contribute to with their activities.
That's fantastic. Well, Russell, I want to wish you a really good day today, and I know we're waiting on the bus to come in, and from there we'll proceed with more interviews going on later on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here with me now is Mark Granaway, right?
Grand Louis.
Grand Louis. Everyone says Granaway and Grand Louis. How are you, Mark?
I'm terrific. Thank you. Yes.
Tell me, Mark, what is your role today, and what do you do with the Wolf Lake?
Well, I'm the consultation coordinator for the Wolf Lake First Nation, and today they've asked me to assist them in this event that they're having here. It looks like a group of teachers are going to be arriving here for kind of a crash course on Algonquin history, probably specifically with the Wolf Lake Band, the history of the Wolf Lake Band. And time permitting, I'll talk to them a little bit about this kiosk that we have in the Canoe Company, which is a kind of a learning center for Algonquin history and culture.
Tell me, Mark, how long have you been a coordinator with the Wolf Lake Band?
I'm going on 2.5 years now. After my 2-year stint in Thunder Bay in an Aboriginal law and advocacy program, I was fortunate enough to get a job at the band office, the Wolf Lake Band office, and I've been the consultation coordinator ever since.
Very nice, and especially if you can come back to your hometown where I believe you were born and raised here.
Well, that's a misperception. I'm actually born and raised in and around Ottawa.
Okay.
My father's family is from around here. Grand Louis is probably a recognizable name for most people around Temiskaming. So I was born and raised in and around Ottawa, and it's only recently that I've come back here, and I've been enjoying reacquainting myself with my roots, so to speak. So it's been pleasant, more than pleasant.
Good for you, and it is important to keep that, the family history, keep it going, keep yourself. Are you enjoying the job that you're doing right now?
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean,
What is it that you like the most about the job? The social aspect of dealing with people.
well, that I always enjoy doing. I always like communicating with anybody in any fashion, and so this job offers me the opportunity to do that. So I get to exercise this.
Wonderful skill that you have. Am I making you shy?
Well, I'm flattered.
You're flattered?
Yeah.
Well, Mark, today's events, they're going to go to the center and whatnot. What do you plan on doing as part of this presentation?
Well, I'm mostly going to be just listening to the main speaker, who's Russell Daibo, and he's going to be doing most of the presentation. Time permitting, I'll talk a little bit about the kiosk that we have here.
Okay.
After that, I am heading out to Laniel, where there's a grand opening for a Camp La Lucarne that the Algonquin Canoe Company recently bought and is now being operated by the Canoe Company.
I'm excited about that because skidoers are going to go there in the winter, and this is a huge, huge opening for tourists.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the whole point of it, is to expand our business throughout Algonquin territory and sort of establish an Algonquin presence there. And, getting jobs for our band members and local community folk, and hopefully just contributing to the economy and everything else that's good and wonderful.
Couldn't have said that better myself, Mark. And actually, you're going to do a fantastic job as your coordinator. I mean, you're still young and you got a lot of years ahead of you, and you're going to bring in a lot of potential and bring back a lot to the people. So congratulations with that.
Well, thank you very much. It's very kind of you to say. I'm sure that everything will work out just as wonderfully as you just put it.
It will, because you know what, Mark? We have to stay positive. There's always negative elsewhere, but today is a glorious sunny day as we're standing here. It's positive. We're waiting for the bus to come in. From there, everything's going to take its toll, and you're going to just go on like you've always done.
Just like any other day.
There we go. There we go. Thank you very much, Mark, for passing an interview with the community channel, and hopefully in the future we get to talk to you again.
Well, you bet. It's been my pleasure, and I'll look forward to that.
Thank you.
All right.
Welcome, everyone. We are standing here on the traditional territory of Wolf Lake First Nation, and I'd like to introduce two representatives of Wolf Lake First Nation, Russell Diabo and Marc Grand-Louis. And I will ask Russell to say a few words about Wolf Lake First Nation, a little bit about the history, traditions. Thanks, Russell.
Thank you. Actually, I'm a Mohawk from Gunawaga, South Shore, Montreal area. But I'm an advisor to the Wolf Lake First Nation, and I've been working with them for, in Algonquin country anyway, for the last 20 years. Mark is a member of the Wolf Lake First Nation. He's a consultation coordinator. He deals with the government requests for activities they do out on the land, including tembec. I was asked by the chief to express his regrets. Chief Harry St. Denis couldn't be here. They just acquired a lodge up north called Camp La Lucarne by Laniel. It's about a half hour north of here. And the grand opening is today to announce the fact that it's been purchased by the Wolf Lake First Nation, and there are a bunch of dignitaries there, like the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs of Quebec is there today. Overview of a little bit of the history of the Algonquin Nation. The chief asked me to touch on that and then talk specifically about Wolf Lake, and Mark can explain a little bit about some of the things they're dealing with the government requests on what's happening out on the territory. Probably most of you know, I guess you're teachers, you know who Cartier is, the guy who sailed over here, and Champlain later on. After contact, there was a lot of movement of Indian nations, with the eastern seaboard, what is now Canada and the United States. Different tribes or First Nations moved around after contact. The Algonquin people are an Algonquian-speaking people. They're related to like the Micmacs in terms of the language, different dialects and that, but they're related to the Micmacs who go all the way up to Nova Scotia and that. They're related to the Innu in Labrador, the language-wise, and the Crees and the Ojibways. So that's all part of what's called the Algonquian language group. The Algonquin people have largely occupied the Ottawa River drainage basin. So basically that includes all these lands up north, up Lake Temiskaming, all the way over to just south of Val-d'Or, down into the Dozawa and Kabonga reservoirs, for any of you who know the Quebec geography, down to Kabonga River, the Gatineau River, all the way over to basically Montreal, the north side of Montreal. That's the Algonquin Nation territory. And each of the Algonquin communities had core and shared territories. This area here is Wolf Lake's territory, which they also share with Eagle Village First Nation, which is a community just down the road from here. And they have made treaties of peace and friendship with the British starting in 1760 to 1764. They never surrendered their land rights, so they're working on an Aboriginal title claim for their territory, which they're going to be producing soon within the next few years. They've been researching for the last 15 years to document their land rights, and they're going to be bringing that forward publicly very soon. You may have heard about the Algonquins of Golden Lake or the Algonquins of Ontario negotiating. Well, that's only the tip of the iceberg. There's like 9 Algonquin communities on the Quebec side that haven't even started to bring forward their claim yet. So that's what's being worked on. In the meantime, the court set out what's called the HIDA case, where they have a duty to consult and accommodate First Nations when there's any project or activities on the traditional territories of a First Nation. And we've been dealing with the government of Quebec on issues around regional planning, forestry, hydro, mining, tourism, land use planning, other issues like that. Wolf Lake has initiated a strategy where they want to see alternative economic development for community members. Although a number of them have worked at Tembec, they're looking at alternatives to the forest industry like tourism. So they've acquired this Algonquin Canoe Company. They've had this in place for a number of years. They've acquired this lodge that's just opening, well, the grand opening is today. They've got hundreds of kilometers of canoe routes that they've mapped out and fixing up portages and putting out signages. So they have and they're acquiring a site over at the mouth of the Des Moines River, a place they call it Swisha. And so they do have a comprehensive tourism strategy that they're employing to keep their role as stewards of the land, but also, managing the tourism aspect as part of their strategy. And so with this duty to consult and accommodate that the governments have to do, a lot of requests coming to the Wolf Lake Administration Office, and it requires a lot of follow-up because it's everything from mining claims to logging permits to big regional plans, mining, staking, and exploration, and potential development sites. So all of these things come into the office, and Mark Granlouis here is the one that's responsible for putting them into a computer database, making sure all the staff and the leaders of the community are aware of what the status of all these things are. And he makes sure that the First Nation is keeping up with their part of the relationship with the Crown governments and making sure that these consultations are managed properly. So maybe I can turn it over to Mark to explain that a little more.
We don't have a reserve. We're one of the only First Nations in Canada who don't have a reserve, although we are a recognized Indian band. Our head office is in Temiskaming, just up yonder over there. And like Russell said, the government has a legal duty to consult First Nations when they're going to be making a decision or an action that might impact on the rights and interests of Aboriginal people, providing it's in their territory of interest. And when they do that, it's usually limited to tree cutting. Okay, so if a ZEC or if a forestry company or a mining company wants to access a certain area on the land, well, they're usually going to have to cut down trees so that they can build an access road, and that's when we get consulted. It's kind of limited to that, but we do get a fair number of consultations on a regular basis. At any given time, there's probably about 6 to 10 active consultations at any given time. And it's my role to register or track or monitor or record the incoming consultations and outgoing consultations. My power of decision is virtually non-existent. Everything has to be approved by the chief and council. A lot of the lands in Wolf Lake's territory have been taken up in the past 200 years, like a very considerable amount. And there's been little to no consultation during that time. So land has just been taken up, parceled off, either given away or sold at a really cheap price to, well, white people. Yeah. So that's not to be meant to be offensive at all, but it's just how it is. And but fortunately, there's been some advancements in court law and legislation where the government does have this duty to consult now. So we're appreciative of that, but we want to push it just a little bit further so that there's more of First Nation say on what goes on the territory, and not just when it comes down to cutting trees down, but
The evidence involves going back to the earliest colonial records, which have been done, all of the early records of the Jesuits and the records of the Oblates and the records of the Quebec government, the colonial records, the early federal records, in Ottawa at the archives, the Hudson's Bay Company records. Genealogical research has been done. Basically, they can show that the bands that are here today are the successor bands of bands that are extinct now, but they are the people who are descended from the people who occupied this territory back to the Royal Proclamation. So they're going to be binding that all up with maps, because you also have to specify the territory that you're asserting rights over. And then that will be presented to the government for negotiation or to the courts, whatever the communities decide to do at that point.
My name is Chris McDonald. I work for tembec. The tembec corporate office is here in Temiskaming. And in my role, I work with First Nation communities, environmental groups, and accountable for relations with those organizations and FSC certification in British Columbia, Ontario, Quebec, and France, where tembec has operations. I'm joined by a couple of tembec colleagues here. Lynn Waugh. Lynn, colleague, a chemist by training and profession, worked at the site in the Environment Department for quite a few years, works now in the Forest Resource Management Group. And Lyle Biglow. Lyle works within the Environment Group in the corporate office. And I'm going to ask Lyle to say a few words.
So if I keep moving over a little bit, then get into the darker brown buildings in the back. That is part of Specialty Cellulose. Specialty Cellulose is a specialty dissolving pulp mill. They make a grade of pulp that's not found in paper products. You're going to find that in all sorts of different kind of household items. You'll find it in rayon clothing. You'll find it in pharmaceuticals. You'll find it in food. You'll find it in ice cream. There's all kinds of different products that different uses that pulp is specifically used for. If I keep moving right, the large blue building is a refuse boiler. So what we're doing there is we're taking bark that's left over from the process, and we're using that bark to generate steam and to drive the process and also generate a bit of electricity. In behind that building, you can't really see it from here, but we have also on this site we have an alcohol plant. So what is there is a plant that takes the residual cooking liquor. So when we bring in the specialty cellulose mill, we bring wood chips in, we cook them in an acidic solution, and the residual cooking liquor from that goes to the alcohol plant behind there. And what that does is we ferment that entire stream of cooking liquor to make about upwards of 15 million liters a year of ethanol that you're going to find in everyday products. We don't make ethanol for fuel, not gasoline or anything like that. All of our ethanol is made for commercial type products, so you'll find it in vinegar, hand sanitizers, mouthwashes, products of that kind of sort, so all commercial type alcohols. So if we keep moving over to the side here, then obviously we have all of our chip piles, which we have one facility, the Specialty Cellulose Mill, where we're running largely on chips from around the region, and we take those chips and we age them prior to cooking in there. The other thing in behind there is the what we call the TKL facility, and that we take roundwood and we chip that, and that's for the Temcell facility. It requires very fresh chips. So we have one facility that requires very fresh chips, is Temcell, and the other one Specialty Cellulose, which takes aged chips for its process. And if we keep going farther down the yard, we get to where the treatment system is. And if you see two large towers down near the end of the yard, those are the anaerobic treatment towers. They're a couple of the largest, at the time when they were installed, they were the largest pulp and paper anaerobic treatment system in North America. That system there treats the equivalent waste of about a city of about 2 million people, so it's very significant. The treatment is combined, the combined treatment of the anaerobic facility and the aerobic facility. Originally we had an aerobic only. With time we added the anaerobic. So we put wastewater through there. A portion of the stream system will go through there. It generates gas. That gas that's generated is compressed and sent back to the flash dryers and burned to displace natural gas. So we've taken a complete waste product and turned it into a value stream for us. Treatment is what's termed a high rate anaerobic reactor. So we only treat a certain portion of the liquid wastes. So Temcell, some of the effluent streams from Temcell go to that facility, and some of the effluent streams from the Specialty Cellulose Mill as well go to that facility. And you're just looking for the easily accessible, quick biodegrading parts of that. It generates gas, and that gas is trapped and sent back. And We've only got, when people talk anaerobic, we're always thinking of things that are left to decompose for weeks or even months at a time. We've only got 6 to 8 hours of retention time, so we are talking about very specific high rate decomposable materials. After they've gone through there, the streams meet up with the rest of the effluent streams, and they're treated in a traditional type anaerobic or aerobic type treatment facility before discharge to the river.
I was just wondering where your raw material came from. Does it come from any given particular geographic area, or is it coming from everywhere?
Sure. A lot of the raw material comes from our own sawmills. So we're what's called an integrated forest products company. So the concept of a round log, you get the square lumber out of that at our sawmills in the region. So we have 3 sawmills in Quebec. We have 4 in Ontario. And so the round part of that tree that's left over after you remove the planks is chipped up. So those wood chips are exported or transported here. Most of those are softwood wood chips because we're producing softwood lumber, and that species, those species, the coniferous species, go into the specialty cellulose mill here. We also buy wood chips of that nature from other sawmills. The other mill takes primarily hardwood tree species. So in Huntsville, Ontario, we have a sawmill and a flooring plant. Strip flooring, the flooring that's in this building here, for example. So again, there's wood chips derived from that process that are used as raw material. So when you, on the other side of the bus, you'll see piles of wood chips, and people often ask me, well, what are you going to do with that waste product? Well, that's not our waste. That's the total, that is the raw material for the entire facility, more or less. So those are piles of different species, different ages of wood chips that are mixed in different recipes for the product. So in terms of geographic scope, actually, those wood chips can be transported from 4 or 5 hours radius from this area here, just depending on the supply situations, season of the year. Not a lot of harvesting goes on here at the end of March, April, May because of the wet ground. It's colder up north, so you get more wood chips from farther away at different times. So all the way from Cochrane, Chapleau, Ontario, to again 2-3 hours, a couple hours north of Ottawa, for example, on the Quebec side. We purchased that from Canadian International Paper in 1972. It was closed, reopened under the tembec name, which is Temiskaming in Quebec. Tembec is derived from that. Remember that, just a clue for later on. And so from that one mill, the company grew till about a peak in 2006 or so of some 55 facilities, primarily that same geographic area. Had another mill in the southern U.S. And then when certainly the U.S. housing issue affected us deeply, given our size and exporting of lumber, building material to the U.S. So as a result, you can see from those numbers, we're about half the size that we were 2006 or so, and have focused on certain grades of pulp, of building materials and paper where we have a competitive advantage and we're stronger. So yes, a lot of change that is indicative of our whole sector certainly affected us as well.
So we're here at the center from a wonderful day that's taken place. With me today is the organizer that they started off in Mattawa for the Canadian Forestry Institute. I believe this is the tour of the day. And who is with me today?
Yeah, it's Bill Steer. I'm the general manager of the Canadian Ecology Centre. This is the 10th annual Canadian Institute of Forestry Teachers Tour, and that means we bring approximately 40 teachers out to visit everything from seeing trees cut down in the forest, forest management, and of course we're here at the Tembec Mill to see all about process and have an overview. And of course, glad to be here in the scenic town of Temiskaming, the garden town of the north, because this is a perfect example of of where community forestry started, and it still goes strong with the various mills here in Tembec. So we're glad to be here, and it is one of our, we came here many years ago, and we're back kind of celebrating our, as I said, our 10th anniversary, so it's a wonderful time to be back here at the Frank Dettori Center.
And it's an honor to have you guys here. The bus was running a little late, as we know, but that's nobody's fault. Tell us how it all got started.
Well, it all got started, actually, went out to New Brunswick and was part of a forestry tour there about 11, 12 years ago, and came back. And the Canadian Ecology Centre, as a national non-profit, we're an environmental education centre, and we thought forestry is our roots in Temiskaming and Mattawa and in the near north and of Ontario and northwestern Quebec, and thought we're going to bring teachers in French and English, and we've done the tour in French and English as well. We're going to bring them and see everything that has to do with forestry. And I think if you're going to make informed choices, and the reason we chose teachers is because over the lifetime of a teacher, they can affect many, many students. And if you teach 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, you're going to affect a lot of young minds. And so these teachers, it's all about presenting informed choices, because most of the outcomes from the teachers is, I didn't know, and they don't know about cutting prescriptions. They don't know what goes on in the mills. They don't know about logging practices and forest management plans. And so I think it's all about bringing knowledge and information to people.
And who better to do it is the teachers themselves, right? The kids are out there to learn from them, and as well as yourself. I've been to the Ecology Centre in Mattawa. I totally enjoy it. I think it's a beautiful place to bring young or any age. It's a nice museum. Tell me, what is expected from the teachers after today?
Yeah, well, we take them through 4 days, and at the very end we do kind of some workshops, and we look at the curriculum, and what we expect is that they'll do something in their classrooms. It could be as easy as wood products that exist all around us in this building or outside the door anywhere in our homes and our communities, or it could be a part of mandated curriculum that occurs in various subjects and grades, whether it's elementary or secondary. And we found that it is making a difference, and I think that's the whole premise behind this, is making a difference, and again, making informed choices about the forestry sector.
So true, so true. Couldn't have said it better myself, actually. So from here, you left Mattawa and you came into Temiskaming. From Temiskaming, you're going where?
Yeah. Well, we just came from a Red Oaks site near Phelps on Highway 63 between North Bay and Temiskaming. Now we're here at the complex, and we've had an overview, some more overview of the environmental part of the tembec operations, and then we'll go off the McConnell Lake Road to some coniferous sites, and then eventually we go to a cutting operation near the end of the day. Tomorrow at the Petawawa Forest Research Center in Petawawa, and Friday it's all about teaching with tools in the forest and the curriculum part of the 4-day tour. Last night we kicked off with Forestry 101 vocabulary, had some welcoming messages. Al Thorne, Chief Forester from Tembec, was kicked us off. So yep, it's a very intensive. Also, we had some heritage logging. We had some lumberjacks come in and did crosscut sawing, and the teachers got to get on both ends of the saw, and it was good.
Sounds like well-planned trips, and it sounds like everybody is enjoying themselves. From the look on their face, they're eating right now, which I don't want to hold you long to. I'd like you to get out there to eat. But before I do get off, I'd like to know is, when you first started this, you need funding to get out there and get people up here. How does the funding come about?
Well, it started with the Canadian Lumbermen's Association. Now it is the Canadian Institute of Forestry, and the CIF is the largest fraternal organization for foresters and related professions. But there's other private sector funders like Tembec, like the Algonquin Forestry Authority, other companies, and put in money to sponsor these teachers, because the whole tour is sponsored, so it is really free to the teachers, and that's a wonderful way to pay for the cost. But again, there's 4 days of professional development, and it's a wonderful opportunity.
I think it's wonderful, and it's well organized. Good job to you, and for 10 years, successful on there. Congratulations, and hopefully we'll see you again here in Temiskaming. Who knows where the future is going to go?
We'll be back.
You'll be back.
And thank you.
Thank you so much. Here with me is Philippe Barrette. Bonjour, Philippe.
Hello.
Philippe, tell me just a little bit about your history with, you worked for Tembois, which is a big factor for the forestry sector.
Yes, definitely. Tembois, when they started, well, in 1973, when they restarted, as I mentioned to those people, when they started, they formed a company for providing the wood, all the wood supply to Tembec, which was called Tembois. Of course, for those people, you know, the history, they're from southern Ontario, most of them.
Some are from Ottawa and Toronto and around the areas.
Okay. So, to give a little bit of history, and the other thing too is to give them about the Temiskaming, Lake Temiskaming. It's important to us, the Temiskaming Loop Tour we call, which is, people could go around. On one side, west side, you got Ontario, and on the east side is Quebec. And then you could go around and you form a three culture, French, English, and Aboriginal, and two provinces and one lake. So that's the sales of the.
It's pretty amazing that such a small town that we are covers such a large area of hectares, and in terms of population where we are, the forestry is all around us, and how you, as you mentioned, you can get onto the river and you end up way down by Ottawa, Montreal.
Montreal, that's right, the main body of water. Well, at the beginning, apparently, in the 1800, they were cutting the white pine. And there was square timber, and they were floating that, this picture of that, they were floating that way down to Quebec City and export that to England. They were building ship with, warship with the square white pine timber.
It's amazing, how we've covered so much in terms of from back in the 1800 to now, when CIP was there, when they brought the logs through, and where we are now with the industry, and how the forest is around us, and we need the forest. We also need the Aboriginals to recognize their land because it is the native land, but our forestry industry here in Temiskaming has been, it started to climb once again, and I think this is a bonus for our area.
Well, definitely, there's, I don't know, he had about 12 pulp mill closed down and during the slum of the economy, and it's still, I guess, we didn't recover it completely, but some of those mills is not going to reopen, so, we're lucky here. I think, like I mentioned, we got good management and good workers like you, Lisa, so to help, and, they have a vision, and I guess they got plan to make sure, they're gonna pull through this economy slump, and we're coming out of it.
You're right, Philippe, because 3 years ago the recession was quite tough, and the support system that we have here in Temiskaming is phenomenal. It's really good. They have shut down some mills, and again, you are right, they will never reopen. So we should say we are blessed to have what we have in the area that we have.
Definitely, and it's I guess through the life you got the economy to adjust, to the demand and so on, and with the new technical. What do you call that?
All the changes with technical computers.
Technical, and the less paper is used, so I guess we got to adjust.
The visitors upstairs, just to close up, Philip, I believe they've been to Temiskaming before, some of them, and because this is their 10th year, it's also a nice honor that they're here at our center. It was nice to see you come and present a hello to them.
That some of them most of that are science teachers. Yes. I forgot to mention them. They got a lot of merit to be a teacher today.
That's right.
So they're not as the student today are not like your life or my life.
No, you're absolutely right. They're not the same, and they have to have a high tolerance of patience because the generation just is not the same.
That's right.
But it is nice to recognize that they come here, and who better to bring back the knowledge is the teacher themselves.
Yes, and I think it's a good window of publicity for our town. Temiskaming, those people are all over southern Ontario and so on. So they're going to know where is Temiskaming. So that's important. They're probably going to come back and visit that with their relative.
For sure. Philippe, I know you got to go. You're heading up to Camp La Lucan because they're doing an official opening up there. So thank you very much for passing an interview, and have a safe trip up to Lagna.
It's a pleasure. I thought you people were on the holidays at this time of the year.
Well, we are technically, but when there's a big event that happens, we try to come forward to it.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Thank you for your channel.
Here we are at the conclusion of the Tembec visit from the Canadian Institute of Forestry Teachers Tour. We've spent a few hours discussing the Algonquin way of life with Wolf Lake First Nation, and discussing the Temiskaming complex, the range of products produced there, and the innovative ways in which products from trees are made to produce a whole range of products, from energy to pulp to a next generation of products that can be molded. And so the group of teachers from all across Ontario are now headed out into the forest. And so we've had a great time here this afternoon in Temiskaming with these teachers, and we hope they go forth with their new knowledge and inspire a whole new generation of students with information about the value and wealth of our forests.